So as we move into May, it's a great time to look back at what's happened so far in 2021 and consider what might happen as we move into the summer market. There are 4 stats I like to keep an eye on when I'm trying to gauge the state of the market. The first one is pending sales, which is a perfect one to look at if you're trying to gauge buyer activity. The second one we're going to take a look at is homes for sale, so we can see how much activity is coming from a seller side. The next stat we'll look at will be month supply. Month supply is one of the most powerful stats you can look at because it considers the relationship between pending sales and homes for sale. And the last one we're going to take a look at is going to be average sales price, because at the end of the day, all of these are going to have an impact on what prices are doing. So let's start by taking a look at the last few years of pending sale activity to kind of put things into perspective. So one of the first things you might notice when you look at pending sale activity going back to 2018 is that there's this trend of rising and falling throughout the year. And they might look really, really similar. But when I put a red line across showing the current pending activity for 2021, and I put red dots marking April for each of the years that we've seen, you can really see the difference that's been going on. Now, last year was a complete anomaly. We couldn't really consider that because we had COVID going on. Everything was under lockdown. And so of course, pending sales were going to pull back. But you can see that pending activity is actually really strong, even when we consider 2019 and 2018. Now, the next stat we're going to take a look at is homes for sale. And in this one, I think it really tells the story about what we're starting to feel in the market. Again, you can see that rise and fall throughout each year from 2018 all the way through 2021. But what really stands out in 2020, impacted by COVID, is the fact that it never really got that big run up that we would typically see in the year before. And as a result, it really has left homes for sale at a lower level moving into 2021. But by putting the line in for April of 2021, you can really see just how much lower the homes for sale are today versus any other year. In fact, even when you go back to COVID, you can see that the homes for sale for 2018, 19, and 20 were all really similar. In 2021, it is down significantly. So as I said at the start of this video, the real one we want to look at is month supply or absorption rate. And the reason is because it shows the relationship between the two. And when I look at something like month supply on a 1-year basis, you can see that right now it is down 54%, which is pretty staggering. And that in itself is pretty impressive. But consider this when I show the entire history going back to 2005 of month supply. So to better understand this graph, it's important to note that month supply between 4 and 6 months is considered a balanced market. And it's usually just a transition period between markets. Once you move over 6 months, you move into a buyer's market, which definitely happened from 2006 through 2012 throughout the Twin Cities. And anytime you move below 4 months, you move into a seller's market, which really extends all the way back to 2013. Now, there are a couple of times the market has moved into a more of an extreme position. Anytime you move over 8 months, as an example, you move into a really strong buyer's market. And you can see that was the case from 2007 to 2009. And even flirting with it again in 2011. Anytime you move below 2 months of inventory, you're moving into a really strong seller's market. And while there are a few years that kind of flirted with it, 2020 and 2021 are the first years that really embedded themselves in a really strong seller's market. And this is one of the reasons why we're seeing the increase in average sales prices, because when you move so strong into one side, you're going to have an impact. So as we look at the average sales price for the last year, we can see that it's up over 10.5% from the year before, which in itself sounds a little bit scary. And that can be somewhat muted when you consider that it's on the same basic trend it's been going all the way back to 2013 when we originally started entering back into a seller's market. Now, in this view, we're really looking at a 12-month average, so it kind of mutes some of the shifts that you'll see in average sales price, where if I take just a monthly view of it, you can see more of the rise and fall each year. And this is pretty significant when I zoom in on a 5-year basis. Over the last 5 years, you can see that rise and fall in average sales price. And this is important to note as we're looking at what we might expect moving forward. So the first question we consider is how much has our shift from January to April of this year been compared to most years? So if I just take a look at January to April, going all the way back to 2016, you can see it really is not as extreme as you might feel it is. even though the numbers are definitely strong. So from 2016 through 2019, you can see the typical price increase from January to April was somewhere between 7 and 10%, where in 2020 and 2021, it has jumped to about 12 or 13% respectively. So based on what's happened in the past, when can we start to anticipate we might see a little relief in the marketplace? If you look back over the last 5 years, you can really see that things tend to peak out in June. In 2016, 17, and 19, it peaked out in June. The only reason it didn't in 18 was because May beat it and it was just right there, almost the exact same numbers. 2020 again was a weird year because you probably would have seen prices peak out in June, but because of everything going on with COVID, things got pushed back into August and October respectively. So when we look at what's going to happen in this year, we certainly don't know exactly how the prices are going to go, but we can certainly anticipate that moving into the summer, we're going to see a little bit of relief in that average sales price. So there's still an opportunity to do very, very well as a seller. But if you're a buyer that's been out there looking, don't give up. There's still an opportunity to get in that home you're looking for. Hopefully this has been a helpful look at where the market is at right now. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. Have a great day.